Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beach Adventure channel. My name is Josh, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through a full lap of the Glen Helen 10-hour endurance race. Now for this race, me and my buddy Matt teamed up with Gabe from Torture Test Magazine and his buddy Carson for what can only be described as an awesome but interesting experience.
How is it?
It's very rough out there. That's what I've heard. And just be careful on the downhills and the blind. You know, the blind jumps to downhill.
Yeah.
Be real careful. Just,
All right.
yeah.
I'll take it easy.
Go.
What's up?
Go.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
So the way these races work is that you can either do them yourself in what's called the Ironman class, or you can team up and do it as a team race. The team race allows up to 4 riders and 2 bikes, and so that's exactly what we did here. So we were mainly racing this 1990 Kawasaki KDX 200, which is also the same bike we rode at the 6-hour Glen Helen race, but we actually started the race on a 1982 Suzuki SP 500. Now I'll be making another video that talks more about the entire race, but if you're curious to see exactly what went down, definitely check out Torture Test Magazine's video of this race because it is something else. So the first section of this race is actually really similar to how the course was set up for the 6-hour. So we went around the Talladega turn, and then there's this hill climb up into the hills here, and then right when we get to the top where this flag is, there's like a really steep downhill, and that's where the course starts changing a little bit. And I talked about this in the 6-hour race, but these hills are freaking huge. Like, the camera does not do them justice, not even a little bit. They're really large, and how large these hills are really plays a role in the overall story of the race, but you're going to see just a little bit of the struggle that I and pretty much everybody else had throughout the day. But this part of the track was pretty cool. You kind of go back into these hills here, and I don't know if you can tell, but they changed the course like for all the different types of races that they do there at Glen Helen, and so you know, certain areas are blocked off and they use different portions of the track. It's pretty cool, but this one definitely was intimidating because right when you get to this spot here, there's just like a nasty drop off right here, and then there's another one like right after that. So if you don't slow down for these, like you're flying all the way to the bottom if you're not careful. But anyways, you make this corner here, and this hill is the hill of death. Like, this thing is insanely steep. It was super loose the whole day, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And so you can see I'm struggling here on the first lap. Like, I didn't have enough speed. Like, I'm trying to gain momentum. Like, I barely make it to the top of the hill, and I have no idea how Gabe made it up that on the SP 500. I can't fathom. But anyways, this race was a little bit shorter than the Glen Helen 6-hour race, and so they cut off a lot of these ridgeline sections of the track, and so this was pretty much the only one where we got up into the hills. But unfortunately, to get up here, I mean, you had to climb the Mount St. Helens hill in order to get up, you know, to this section, and you can kind of tell like it's not really groomed all that well. I feel like at the 6-hour race the track was in much better condition. Like, the GoPro stabilizes this a lot, but you can tell, like, if you look at the bike's moving around a lot. If you look at these guys, they're kind of, you know, bouncing around. And then to come down, you have to come down like the other steepest hill on the track. I believe this one's called Yamaha Hill or something like that, but it's kind of like this weird off-camber side hill, and the weirdest part about it is you go down the steepest section, and then there's like a super sharp left turn, like a 90-degree turn here. So if you miss this, like, you're going down off the side of the course there, and it wouldn't be good. You know, there's a hill there. It's not like a sheer cliff, but I'm sure somebody had to have missed that at some point throughout the day. So you can see that they're watering the track up here. It was really dusty, and it's important to point out that this was in August, so it's the beginning of August, and you can't tell, but it's actually the afternoon. The 10-hour race is a half day race and a half night race. So it starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and ends at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, it's nice because you kind of don't have to race in the middle of the summer heat. But at the same time, like, it's super, super dusty. And as you'll see from the night footage when I get to that, or if you watch Gabe's video, it's hard to see at night, like really, really hard to see because of all the dust. So yeah, you'll see it here. I just get lost in the dust here in a minute. But this section here was also in the 6 hour, but it was in reverse. So we're basically making our way to the back section of the Glen Helen Raceway. And this part's pretty cool. It's one of like 2 single track-ish type of sections that were in this race. And I like these. That they're really fun. It's more of the kind of riding that I'm used to. Not quite as fast, even though guys just fly through here like it's nothing. But it's also super intimidating because you get people coming up behind you, and there's not really enough room to pass through here. I mean, there is if you're, you know, feeling adventurous, and the guys that are, you know, really good at this kind of stuff, you know, they definitely make those passes. But yeah, it's just intimidating because all I want to do is get out of the way. Like for this guy here, I just pulled off to the side and let him go. But you see here, yeah, I'm lost in a cloud of dust here. It was this was like the worst part as far as the dust went. You can just see too, it's like sandy and rocky. It was a lot of fun though. So you can see like the access road right off to the right hand side, and this should pop out here in a second. And the next section of this track, or this course anyways, is a pavement section. So here we go, we're out on the pavement, and this pavement stuff is like super scary because it's like already like eroded concrete, and then from everybody racing on it, it's got like a thin layer of dust and gravel on the top, and like these guys just fly through this like it's nothing, and I'm just worried like I'm gonna slip out and die on this. Like, I mean, you could see it here. Even the GoPro picks it up how much dust and gravel's on top of it. So I mean, I'm going a decent speed, but nowhere near what these other guys are going.
Oh, this is so scary.
That's absolutely correct. It is scary. But this is pretty much the end of the pavement section here. It turns to dirt once we get up around this corner. So in the 6 hour race, you actually came down from that left-hand dirt over there. That's part of the other Ridgelines that were in the 6 hour. And so this section here was also in the 6 hour. But like I said, you know, this race, we're probably maybe an hour into it right now. Gabe did the first few laps, and then I was the next one to go once we switched back to the KDX. And just the difference between the 6 hour and this, like, I don't know if it's because I started racing later or if the track was just in worse condition than it was for the 6 hour, but it just seemed way more torn up. Like even that last section here, like this one coming down this hill, all of it just seemed way more rough than before. So it was pretty weird. Yeah, but so this section here was, like I said, in the 6 hour too. It was a little bit different. It's really kind of amazing the way they're able to change the course. Like even the slightest changes make a big difference. Like I remember going through this over and over and over again in the 6 hour, and it's just different here. Like you actually jumped out onto the pavement for a little bit and then jumped back onto the road, where this one, you know, you kind of stay on the dirt the whole time, which is pretty cool. So we're coming up on the second little single track canyon section of the race, which is right here into these trees. And this part is a lot more narrow than the first one that we just went through. And it's a bit more rocky. There's some water, some like jagged rocks sticking out and stuff. And then I get hosed by the by the watering truck, which was pretty cool. And later on in the day, like I don't know what happened. I had heard like there was like a water line leak, or if they just flooded the track. I don't know exactly what happened, but this section coming up was like mud. basically like a few laps in. It was really strange. So you kind of go through this canyon section, and I mean, you can just see you see the bike just bouncing around everywhere, and this is the hardest part of this race, I think. It's not, the length of it or going around or even the riding for 10 hours, which, I mean, it is hard, but it's how much energy is used, like holding onto the bike, and like it's bouncing around everywhere. So it's like a combination of trail riding and track riding, or enduro riding, I guess, right? So I mean, that's what enduro really stands for, is endurance. So definitely exhausting doing that for 10 hours straight. And so now we kind of head over into the track section. So this is kind of like where the main motocross tracks are at typically, and then we head out towards like the flat track areas and like where the trophy trucks and stuff race. And so if you watch my video from the 6 hour, I mean, the track layout here is pretty similar, but like I said, the course was completely different. But as far as like the main direction and kind of the way you made your way through the whole raceway was pretty similar. So in the 6 hour, we used that other straightaway that's on the right hand side over there, and then you basically came back up this side. So there's definitely some changes, and this course was actually quite a bit shorter than the 6 hour race as well. During the riders meeting, I think they said that the 6 hour race course was like 10 miles, something like that, and for this one, the 10 hour, it was about 7.5, so about 2 to 3 miles shorter, which was kind of nice because it meant that each time we took a turn on the bike, that we weren't out quite as long, you didn't get as tired, and the next guy gets to race a little bit sooner, unless you were Gabe and took the bike out for 3 or 4 laps at a time. But that's kind of why we teamed up with them, because we royally got our asses kicked on the 6 hour race. So knowing that coming in, it was kind of nice to know that we had an experienced guy that was just going to take the bike and just ride it for 2 or 3 laps at a time. But that actually ended up biting us later on, because Gabe went down pretty hard and we had no choice but to just keep going, and it was rough. It got really rough, but we made it. We did make it. So anyways, this portion of the track was pretty cool. There wasn't much of this in the 6 hour race, so I think instead of having the Ridgelines, we spent a little bit more time out on these flat tracks, which was pretty cool actually. Like, you could get some speed on here. Obviously I'm not going too fast through here. Definitely, guys going a lot faster than I am. But you could bring your front wheel up on these. If you're going fast enough, you could get a little bit of air. And this portion actually was in fairly good condition, so it was kind of a nice break from all the the rocky, rutted, sandy stuff that was in the first half of the track. Alright, and so right here, that all starts to change. So everything I just said just goes right out the window, and you go up into this sand wash here. And this sand wash was also in the 6 hour race, but yeah, here it is right here. So you have to keep your speed through here. It's like a pretty deep sand wash. And in the 6 hour, you made a left turn at the very end here, and this one you hang a right and you head back out onto the track again. So it's kind of cool to see this in a different configuration, because it's like one of the things I remember vividly from the 6 hour, and so for this one is a little bit different. So now we're heading back towards the main track, and this is where I make my first pass I've ever made in a race. And so this guy coming up here, this guy's my victim, and he doesn't even know it yet, but he's about to get passed on a 1990 Kawasaki KDX 200. just thinking, like, do I pass him? Am I going to pass him? I think I'm going to pass him. And so after thinking about it for a little bit, there we go. Make the pass. That feeling of passing someone in a race is like one of the greatest feelings ever. Even though I don't know what position he was in, I don't know what position I am in, like, it just felt good to actually, like, go past somebody rather than getting just blown past by almost everybody else on the track, which is what I've been used to doing up until that point. So that felt good. Like this guy. This guy's just blowing past me. Unfortunately, that was the first and only time that happened during this race, but still, it felt so good. It felt so good. So like right here, I'm starting to feel really good. Like I've kind of gotten into like a little groove. I'm feeling good on the bike. Like during the 6 hour, I was all like cramped up and like super nervous. And for this first lap, like it felt really good. I wish it would have felt that way the rest of the race because, you know, the second lap, things started falling apart spectacularly. And so, like I said, there'll be a longer video kind of talking about the rest of the race, but I wanted to bring you guys through a full lap and just kind of see what the course looked like, kind of what my thought process was, and, you know, just give you an overall view of what it looks like to go through one of these things. This was a cool turn, too. This is like, you head up this hill, and it was like a hairpin turn back onto the top of that tunnel, and then you head down back onto the track again. But like I said, you know, this section of the track was just in way worse shape than before. It was pretty amazing, but luckily this part didn't last too long since we're almost at the end here. But you can see, like, it's super sandy. You know, there's not much water on it, and then there was these big whoops, which I don't remember from the 6 hour. There's some big whoops in a couple of sections, which on a 1990 trail bike, it doesn't lend itself well to riding through those whoops. And then the same thing here. Here's the part where there was some, you know, big jumps and stuff, the typical, you know, motocross style stuff. And even though Gabe and Matt were clearing those things, I was getting a little bit of air. Just, I don't know. I didn't want to come down on the KDX like hard. And I've never really jumped these things like in full before, so I just took it easy. Like I said at the very beginning of the race when I said I'll take it easy, I meant it. I took it easy. But it was definitely a lot of fun. Right here was another section of whoops. And so it's just like, oh, like after all that, now we gotta go through these whoops. You can see we're back at the Talladega turn there on the right, and this is kind of the last section of the course here. So it was really kind of a strange configuration. You go up over the top, and then you got to do like a 207-degree turn here into these tunnels. These are kind of like a signature Glen Helen thing. There was only the end tunnel in this one, but in the 6 hour there was a couple of them. And here we go. We're right back at the start of the race. That's where they do the sign-ups and kind of like the reception thing at the end. They have pancakes there at like 12 in the morning, which were fantastic, by the way. And that's it. That was a full lap. You make your way through the pits. We had a spot on the very first pit row, which was kind of nice. This section over here seems to be like where the more sponsored racers, pro racers, definitely bigger groups of people on this side. And then over where we were at, it seemed to be more of the independent guys that were just there to have some fun, which is exactly what we were doing. So that's it. That's all I got. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave me a like down below. If you're new here, please subscribe. We like to do things like this on a weekly basis, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. If you haven't seen it already, definitely check out Torture Test Magazine and his video that covers this race. It's really, really good stuff. So until next time, guys, be sure to have fun, take care, and ride safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be sure to get out there and have adventures of your own, and I'll see you guys next time. Later!
Looks good? All right, good luck, man. Woo!
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, please let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button. If you are new here, please subscribe to see more adventures just like this one. For information about my riding gear or the various ways you can help support the channel, please check out the links below or head over to www.eachadventure.com. I'll see you in the next one.